After an overdue pit stop on Navarro to get the Razor Crest fixed up again, and partaking in a thrilling mission, Mando and Baby Yoda, or as we may officially refer to him as of this episode, Grogu, are finally on their way to Corvus to meet up with the Jedi Ahsoka Tano. As the goal of the Mandalorian's mission always was to hand over the child into the care of another Jedi, will this chapter mark the end of their shared journey? Hi there, it's Micha. Be my guest today and we will find out together. After just watching episode 13, The Jedi, I am happy to share my thoughts with you again. Like always, I will utilize callouts from my friend Neal, a Star Wars superfan, to highlight little tidbits I would have never noticed myself. Neal also composed the music for this series of review videos, exclusively. Thanks for that, mate. Stay tuned till the end to find out the answer to last video's quiz question, and to hear the new one. After lagging a bit behind the first few episodes, with this video we should have finally caught up, closing the gap. Nice. But enough about that, let's jump back in again. This episode starts on Corvus, where Ahsoka Tano, played by Rosario Dawson, fights her way through the ranks of some armored minions, making it to a large gate. The village behind those walls is occupied by a brutal magistrate, who took the citizen hostage while plundering the planet's wealth. On the magistrate's side, we find her hired gun, played by Michael Biehn, who I haven't seen for years in any role, so at first I wasn't even sure it really was him. The Jedi is seeking information from the villainess that she is not willing to give up. So Ahsoka Tano gives her one day to reconsider before she returns and takes the needed intel by force. Pun possibly intended. Back on the Razor Crest, Din and Baby Yoda are closing in on Corvus. The child tries to snatch the knob of the ship's steering lever again, one of his favorite toys, but Mando tells him that it needs to stay there. So the kid takes it by force. Literally. This time, pun completely intended. On Corvus, the two visit the village to get intel on where the Jedi might be located, but are greeted by the magistrate's guard, who are inviting them to see her. The oppressor, after making sure Mando is a Hunters Guild member, offers him a massive spear made of pure Beskar as payment to kill the Jedi for her. Which should be easy for him, as they are ancient enemies. By now, we know that Mando is a man of his word, but also that semantics are important when a deal is concerned. So when he never actually agrees to take the job, but only implies to do so by asking where he can find the Jedi, which to learn was the only reason he even came to town to begin with, we have a pretty good understanding of his intentions. In the woods, looking for Ahsoka Tano, she outright attacked him without warning the moment the child has left his arms. But mentioning that Bo-Katan sent him to talk quickly makes her pause, replying that she hopes the talk would be around the little one. After an extended non-verbal conversation between the Jedi and her potential Padawan, she shared some details about the kid's backstory with Mando. The most important one being his name, Grogu. Grogu was raised in the Jedi Temple on Coruscant, the Jedi's declared home base, where he was trained by different masters over the years. The child was hidden away during the Clone Wars and then taken, where his memory got fuzzy. He mostly remembers feeling alone. Ahsoka Tano also mentions that herself has only ever seen one other of his kind, the wise Master Yoda. Mando explains that his mission is to return Grogu to the Jedi, and Ahsoka Tano agrees to test the child's ability, which reveals a strong attachment to Din, who manages to make the little one use the Force to telekinetically move his favorite toy, the knob from the cockpit, from Mando's hand into his own. Ahsoka says that their bond is too strong for the Jedi to train the kid, as this makes Grogu vulnerable to his feelings, something that has even corrupted the best among them. Din offers her a deal. She trains the child and he helps her with her goal, freeing the village and getting the information she seeks from the magistrate, who we learn to be named Morgan Elsbeth, one of the last survivors of her line, after her family was massacred, which led to her helping to build the Imperial Starfleet by plundering worlds, something she apparently never stopped to do. With the words, "A Jedi and Mandalorian teaming up, they'll never see it coming," they head into battle. While Ahsoka Tano concentrates on getting to Morgan, Mando works on freeing the villagers, which for both ends in 1-to-1 duels. Mando versus Michael Biehn's mercenary character and the Jedi against Elsbeth. While the mercenary didn't survive, we only see Ahsoka Tano winning the fight and asking Morgan about the location of Grand Admiral Thrawn, whoever this may be. Knowing Neal, I have the feeling we might hear about the guy in the Easter eggs though. Ahsoka Tano hands Mando the Beskar spear, which he at first wouldn't accept, as he didn't take the job, but the Jedi says it belongs with the Mandalorians, so Din agrees. Back on the ship, to fetch Grogu and to say goodbye, Din finds the kid sleeping and can't bring himself to wake him up. When the Jedi comes to meet them, she sees the child in his arms, saying that Mando feels like a father to the kid, and repeats that she, even if promised otherwise, can't train Grogu. However, she offers an alternative. On planet Tython, they will find an ancient temple ruin where the Seeing Stone is located. Placed on it, Grogu will see his path and his presence will be known by the few remaining Jedi. The episode ends with us seeing Ahsoka Tano smiling at the child while Din heads to the cockpit. A smile she keeps as the Razor Crest is leaving. Another solid episode that highlights how the showrunners now completely lean into the concept of serialized chapters, making the best out of it. Again, we have a closed story that works as a standalone epic while feeding into an overarching story. This also allows them to go a completely different route this week, being more character and story driven, calmer and more serious than the last one, which was very action orientated with a good helping of comedy on top. A switch that would be very hard to pull off within a movie. They can also change the visual style completely each week without any negative effect, so this time they gave the whole episode a very Japanese flair, reminding us a lot of the imagery of Akira Kurosawa's classics, which especially showed in the scenes in the forest, but also in the Garden of the Magistrate. This is a really nice nod, especially considering that for A New Hope, George Lucas drew inspiration from Kurosawa's Seven Samurai, especially when it comes to creating the Order of the Jedi. Creators are also doing their best to close the rift between Jedi and Mandalorians, not only by the two of them joining forces here, but also by returning war loot into the right hands, nicely illustrated by handing over the spear. As always, I enjoyed the development of the bond between Mando and the kid, being the father figure, which was solidified here by Ahsoka Tano's words. A nice touch was to show in this week's Previously On summary how Din initially referred to Grogu as it and creature, which soon became wherever I go he goes, and evolved ever since. I am curious to find out what Ahsoka Tano saw while feeling the kid's thoughts, because her smile at the end didn't match her worries that Grogu may become corrupted by his feelings. It felt more like she saw something that gave her hope, and in which Mando plays a central role. This feeds into my ongoing belief that Mando will adopt the child permanently, and as I mentioned before, maybe Din turned out to be a Jedi himself, not even knowing it. I guess the Seeing Stone will make an appearance at the end of this season, where we will learn about the show's direction for the next year. Likely Season 1 was about finding and protecting the kid, while Season 2 is about finding his path, where Season 3 will take on full steam following that path. That will likely blow us away and go into a completely different direction as we might think right now. And of course, Grogu won't be able to take this path alone. The highlight this week for sure was to learn Grogu's name and get details on his backstory, though timeline-wise it confused me a bit. In Season 1, the client says that the last known location of the target, aka Grogu, was 50 years old, and Grogu was taken during the Clone Wars. The Clone Wars, as I was reminded today, sorry about the wrong callout in the last episode, takes place between movie episode 2 and 3. So let's say 5 years to episode 3, from there 20 years to episode 4, again about 10 years between 4 and 6, Return of a Jedi, and from there 5 years to The Mandalorian, adding up to 40 years at best, not 50. So what gives? But talking to Neal, he confirmed that it somehow adds up. However, facts like this and throwing in names and places we never heard before, like Admiral Thrawn and Tython, can be a bit confusing to the casual viewer or the uninitiated like me, though it likely sets up future story arcs quite nicely. I can imagine that for superfans, mentioning these names and places will raise their pulses in anticipation, and the whole episode was likely an Easter egg palooza. Personally, I enjoyed the previous episode, which I scored with 9 points, more, but this one also gave me a lot. That being said, I will score this episode with 8 out of 10 points, as I could only enjoy the new facts that were relevant to me, which, for the record, I did. But I'm curious to see how a superfan like Neal received this one. And boy was I spot on. Right off the bat, he scored the episode with 10 out of 10 points, saying that if he wasn't such a hardcore fan, he would likely only have scored it with 8. So he was spot on as well. And between the two of us, this one gets 9 out of 10 points. The episode had nothing Neal didn't love, so let's look closer at those. Like me, he enjoyed Grogu getting his name and the backstory details. He thought Rosario Dawson's portrayal of Ahsoka Tano was fantastic, and especially enjoyed the scenes with her, Din and Grogu. And, as I thought, the Easter eggs in this episode absolutely blew his mind. So, without further ado, Ahsoka Tano. Ahsoka Tano makes her first live-action appearance in this episode. On the Clone Wars and Rebels animated series, where she was voiced by Ashley Eckstein, the Togruta Jedi was the apprentice of Anakin Skywalker. The two fought together alongside Obi-Wan Kenobi during the Clone Wars and completed many important missions, along with several clone troopers including Captain Rex. After being falsely accused of bombing the Jedi Temple, Tano chose to leave the Jedi Order after her name was cleared. From there, she spent several years exploring the galaxy and eventually, in Rebels, came face to face with Darth Vader, who she couldn't kill after realizing that it was her old master Anakin. The last time we saw Ahsoka, she set off on a mission with Sabine Wren, a Mandalorian, to find Ezra Bridger, but more on him later. Morai. Morai is a convor bird that watches over Ahsoka. If you watch close enough, you will spot her when Mando and Baby Yoda are looking for Ahsoka. You can also hear her throughout the episode. Morai was a female convor, a species of bird that could be found in several places across the galaxy on planets such as Atolon, Malachor and Takodana, with spiritual ties to the Daughter, a Force wielder from Mortis. Morai became a friend of former Jedi Padawan Ahsoka Tano, whom the Daughter transferred her life essence into prior to her death. She accompanied and watched over Tano throughout her life. If you would like to know more about Convor and the Daughter, Neal again highly recommends watching the Clone Wars animated series, where their story is covered in full. I might actually do this in between this and the next season of The Mandalorian. Anakin Skywalker. Ahsoka states that she has seen what fear does to Jedi. This is a direct reference to her former master Anakin's demise and transformation to Darth Vader. Tython. Ahsoka tells Din Djarin to take Baby Yoda to Tython. Tython was a planet located in the galaxy's deep core and shrouded in myth. Some Jedi scholar made a case for Tython as the location of the Jedi Order's first temple. Tython first appeared in the 2007 novel Darth Bane: Rule of Two, where it was the original homeworld of the Jedi Order and its successor organization, the Jedi. It is also covered in detail in the Dawn of the Jedi comic series. Tython had two moons, the Ashla and the Bogan. Bogan was the word the scholars used for the dark side of the Force. The light side of the Force was called Ashla. If you want to know more, Neal recommends reading the Dawn of the Jedi comics. Grand Admiral Thrawn. In this episode we discover that Ahsoka is searching for Grand Admiral Thrawn. Thrawn is a major antagonist in the Star Wars franchise, introduced in the 1991 Timothy Zahn novel Heir to the Empire. He has since appeared in multiple Star Wars books as well as in Star Wars Rebels, where he was voiced by Lars Mikkelsen, the brother of Mads Mikkelsen. Thrawn has been called one of the most significant and popular characters in the Legends continuity. He was last seen in Star Wars Rebels, where his fleet was defeated during the liberation of Luthal by Ezra Bridger, the Jedi I mentioned before in Ahsoka's Easter egg, and the Purgil. The Purgil wrapped Thrawn in their tentacles and took him and Ezra through hyperspace to parts unknown. Before her appearance today, Ahsoka was last seen setting off on a mission with Sabine Wren, a Mandalorian, to find Ezra Bridger. Her search for Thrawn suggests that she still may be looking for Ezra Bridger. So much for the Easter eggs. How did you like this episode? And are you a casual viewer or a superfan? Let us know in the comments. And here the answer to the quiz question from last episode. The Imperial comms officer receiving the report from the mechanic also is not a stranger to sci-fi fans. In which superhero series does she have a recurring role? Katie O'Brien has a recurring role as Major Sarah Gray, a top-ranking officer within the occupying military force in Season 3 of Black Lightning. Now to this week's question. Diane Lee Innocento, who portrays the magistrate in this chapter, is an actress and experienced stuntwoman. Martial arts runs in her family because her father is a renowned martial arts master. But do you know who her godfather is? Let us know in the comments. That's it. As always, if you enjoyed this video, like it and feel free to share it with your friends. And why not subscribe to my channel so you won't miss any future video. Make sure to also hit the notification bell so you will get a heads up whenever a new video is posted. So much for now, see you next time and thanks for watching!